Hello guys, how are you there? It's very cool to see you. Well, I'm waiting a little bit for Jigal, who joined, and well, I don't know, how are you? How are you doing? I send my hellos from here. So, well, you know that today we're going to share a vermouth together. This is mine, in fact. So during this time, while I'm waiting for Gigana from the others, I'm going to serve a little bit more. I don't know if you have also some drink with you. But this is a little bit the point, is to share something together also. And one second. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start to drink a little bit of this vermouth. Guys, I don't know if you have something to join me. I already have some vermouth, some ice here. I'm going to add, maybe some of you are going to remember this. I don't know if you have this at home, but it is super cool. We're going to put some stuff here. Yeah, much better. Cool. So we are going to share a late vermouth tonight. Normally the time for vermouth is a little bit earlier. Normally it's something that we have as an aperitif before lunch. But even nowadays it's something that you can start to see a little bit around by night, like a nightcap, no? That is what we're doing now. Let's see if I can have Tigal. Tigal, we're waiting for you.
Hey, Paula.
Hello, how are you?
How you doing? See you up there.
Yeah,
What's happening?
sorry?
How are you doing?
Yeah, very good.
Good.
Here
All right,
we
so
are already starting
we'll wait
the
a little
vermouth.
bit. Wait a little bit to get. Ooh, wow.
Yeah, ready.
So good. All right. Well, we'll wait a little bit to get started, and let folks. It looks like people are still coming on.
They're still join.
Yeah. And then we'll get going. But you're started
They're
already.
going to be very jealous of me.
Nice. So good. Well, what do you say? Should we get started? What do you think?
Yeah, when you want.
So good. So I'll introduce. I'll say hello. My name is, for those of you who aren't familiar with Culinary Backstreets, I'm Yigal Schleifer. I'm editor and co-founder of Culinary Backstreets. Culinary Backstreets covers the local food scene and offers small group food tours and trips in several great food cities around the world, including Barcelona. And if you ever have been to Barcelona, or if you will come to Barcelona, once everyone's able to travel again, Paula would be one of the people who would show you around and really show you a side of the city that I think would be really something very unexpected. And Paula is originally from Galicia, which is another region in Spain, and she's going to talk a bit about that. And we've been doing these new shows that we're calling Pantry Raids, and the idea is to really look at what are some of the essentials of the pantry in the different cities where we work. And in Barcelona today, we're going to look at Conservas, and the idea, these are tinned seafood, canned seafood, and you know, if your experience with canned seafood extends just to tuna, which was sort of my experience as a child, you'd be very surprised at what's happening in Barcelona and in Spain in general. It's really incredible. So Paula's going to talk about canned seafood, conservas, how it fits into the vermouth culture, which she's also, show us your vermouth, Paula. Yes, so it's exactly, and she's going to talk a bit about Galicia and the trip that we've done there, and we're gonna do something a little different today. I'm gonna skip out and give Paula the full screen because I think she's gonna show some pictures and some video too, and then maybe at the end I'll come back in for some questions, and I'll keep track of questions if people are sending them in, and if I have some questions of my own. Anyway, but Paula, I'm gonna say goodbye now and give you the full screen.
Ciao, legal.
And okay, ciao. Take it away.
Ciao, guys. So, yeah, today or tonight we're going to share this vermouth together. As I was saying before, vermouth is something that we normally have a little bit earlier, like before lunch. So for us, in this moment in Barcelona, this is 11. We are sharing like a nightcap for you or with you. And we are going to talk also about something that is very related with this vermouth and this aperitif time. That is, as Yigal said before, this canned food, basically. It's something that is also very appropriate in these moments that we are like a little bit confined at home in this kind of Armageddon that I hope that really pass quickly. So canned food, as Yigal said before, could be much more than just tuna inside a can. And in the case of Catalonia, this is very connected with our vermouth time. So I want to show you the vermouth that I have here. In this case, I have a kind of vermouth that the name is Espinaler. I'm going to show you the brand so you can see it. Sorry. Here. Espinaler, this is the brand. This is a Catalan brand that it is making vermouth from the 40s of the 20th century, but even before they already had like a bar in Vilassar de Dalt, that is a village in the north of Barcelona. So it's a very old brand of vermouth. But the thing, and what is special of them, is that in the 50s, a little bit later of make the vermouth that they were serving in their own bar, they started to produce also something that became super famous, that it was a sauce that the name is also Espinaler, that they were using to dress the conservas and the preserved food and the little seafood that they were offering at the bar together with a drink. So this sauce became a basic in any aperitif that you can have in Barcelona nowadays. Many bodegas and many bars, in fact, they have their own recipe of the same thing, the sauce Espinaler. But the next step in Espinaler brand, it was around the 70s to make their own conservas, because this is what something that they were basically offering all the time in the bar in big quantities. And one day they said, okay, why we don't go directly to the source of that and we select the best seafood and the best fish directly in the place and we can it ourselves. So nowadays, Espinaler, they also have their own brand of cans. This is in Barcelona province, this is in Catalonia. But where the guys from Espinaler went in the 70s to look for the best seafood, they went to Galicia. So if Catalonia, it is in the northeast of the Iberian Peninsula, Galicia, it is in the northwest of the Iberian Peninsula. And this is a very special area with a lot of kilometers of coast. I'm going to show you now a map that I have here, where you can see not only Galicia, but also these different rias that they have in the coast. These rias, they are like estuaries of rivers that they finish in the ocean, bringing a lot of sediments and nutrients from inland. And what it is also very special is that in Galicia, there is like a huge oceanic current that came from the Caribbean, bringing to the coast more nutrients from waters that they are a little bit warmer. So that creates a very special like maritime sea environment, very rich and fantastic for the seafood there, no? For the fish and the crustaceans and the shellfish. So this is why the shellfish culture and the seafood culture in Galicia, it is huge from very, very old times. Already like in the prehistory, people there, they were eating a lot of shellfish. And this is why also in the 90s, some Catalan entrepreneurs, they decided to go directly from Catalonia to Galicia to get more fish, especially in that time, people was making a lot of business with salted fish like cod or sardines, and they found that in Galicia, it was basically a lot of that. So they settled in Galicia, and they started to develop like fishing industry, to construct boats, and also to preserve sardines and different kind of fishes to sell it, to make business with that. But in that time, in the 19th century, one day, one of these cans, well, probably it was in fact a glass jar, arrived to the Galician coast from a sunk boat that was coming from France. It was a French boat, and that was the first news that in Galicia, or the first clue that in Galicia they had, and in Spain in general, they had in the 19th century about preservation in containers, jars, cans, things like that. So from that moment, in Galicia, they started to open the first Conservas factories in all Spain. And here I want to show you also some pictures of how these first Conservas factories that they were opened by the Catalan entrepreneurs that we call the fomentadors. Here you can see how these factories were. For example, we see a lot of women, in fact, working in these factories. And let's see, here you have another picture where you can see the tins, the mountains of tins that the ladies had in these tables. These entrepreneurs, they started to give job to a lot of people. Basically, many, Galicians that they had a bad year fishing, or people, a lot of women, because the husbands in that time, they were in the coast of Galicia, the great part of them, they were fishing in the ocean, and the ladies, the wives, the women, they were at land, and many of them, they started to work in these Conservas factories, in fact. So these Catalans, they started to create jobs for people, but what happened is that in the early 20th century, some of these Galicians, they started to create also their own brands. So the great part of the Conservas that we have nowadays, they are not they don't have the brands of that original surnames of the first Catalan entrepreneurs, with a few exceptions. One of the exceptions, it is Massó. This is a tuna can. Massó, it is one of the super iconic Galician. I'm going to show you here. This is the can, Massó. And this is one of the few Catalan surnames that they are still attached to the Conservas elaboration. A little bit later, we were talking about the Galicians, that they started to build their own factories. Many of them, they were workers in these factories, and we started to call them the patrianos. Patrianos, they were, again, strong businessmen, normally with a very humble origin, that they were developing the factory from the beginning. Sometimes they became partners with some of the previous original Catalans, and they started to develop. At the beginning, it was basically sardine cans, basically, So an example of that is one of the cans that we are going to see now, that it is this one. This is a beautiful can with a vintage packaging, as you can see. I show you also how it is the name in itself. And I'm going to open it. We are going to do some unboxing here. So we open, here you can see it better. We open the can. It is a beautiful can, as we said before. We are going to taste some delicious canned food, some of these examples of how we can elevate the canned food. So inside the can, it is also beautiful, and with a number. And the name, sorry, it was Rosa La Fuente. La Fuente family is a very important family of Conservas industrials in Galicia, and it is they started to produce in 1904, and nowadays they're still there. I mean, this is one of the few family brands that are still working with more than 100 years behind of them in the business of these delicious cans. So we're going to open it. These are little tiny sardines. You can see them here. They are very delicate. They are preserved in olive oil. Normally first the fish is cooked. They are very clean. In fact, the color is very silver, what it is the perfect color. And the taste is super, super, super delicate. So this is a premium, one of the premium brands of La Fuente family. And this is perfect with a little bit of bread, or even for a sandwich. You can add, if you want, some kind of aromatic herb if you like it. And this is perfect, just like that. Also, if you have some white wine to pair, this is also excellent. So I want to show you also here, because this Rosa La Fuente, she is the granddaughter of the original creators of the brand. And I want to show you here. This is a picture of the original founders, the famous Paco La Fuente, Pérez La Fuente, that they were behind Rosa La Fuente, the granddaughter, no, of this family. So if this, in this case, we are talking about sardines, we are going to change to something a little bit more special, but we are going to still stay in one of these rias that we saw in the map, that is Ria de Arousa. Arousa is one of the most important rias for seafood, especially for shellfish. It is huge. It is a very big ria with very special conditions. One of the, we were talking before that these estuaries, the rias, they have these rivers that they were creating, or they were leaving a lot of sediments also. That means that there are a lot of sandbanks and huge beaches that they are perfect for the seafood catching. I want to show you here a little video also, where you can see how these sandbanks are. This is in Cambados. This Cambados is one of the villages that we visit in our culinary trip in Galicia, that it is especially around seafood. You can see here the extension of this beach with the low tide, and the seafood catchers that they are coming back from the session of the day, no? From the day of work. They have this beautiful carriage with the containers, and they have all the tools inside. So in this sand is where the catchers, they can find, they can take the clams, and also something else that is very traditional in Catalonia also for our aperitif, that is the berberechos, cockles. I'm going to show you now. This is the tin. This is Conservas de Cambados. You can see it here. In this case, this is a Galician company. Berberechos is cockles in Spanish, de las Rías Gallegas, no? Al natural means like with no dressing, with anything else. And in fact, my favorite way to eat the cockles is when they are raw, directly from the shell. When they are recently caught, you clean them. Obviously, all the shellfish, they go to the purification plant before you can eat them, because they can have basically a lot of sand. that is the environment where they are living. So we need to be sure that all this is completely clean. And I want to show you also another video that it's also part of that trip, where you can see how in Galicia we open traditionally the cockles using another cockle. Here you can see that we put the cockles in the back, we press a little bit, and we can use one to open the other one and eat them. In this point, you don't need anything else. If you want, you can add a little bit of lemon, but it is enough for me. It is delicious. They have a very subtle flavor, similar, a little bit more delicate even than oysters. So let's see what we have in this can. Berberechos de Galicia, and this brand, Berberechos de Conservas de Cambados, this brand, Conservas de Cambados, is possible to get in La Tienda de José Andrés in the website, in the online shop. You have not only the cocktails, but all kind of different products from the same producers. Okay, we're going to open it. Again, it is a vintage can with a net that we need to cut like that. Here it is. This is a little bit more tight. And here we have our cocktails. We're going to open the can. I have to say that back in the day, normally people was like opening the cans, serving the can in a plate, some spices, some little something. Nowadays, in many places, they are using cans. In many restaurants and many bars, they are using basically the can itself as a container, and even something to put in inside things that they are not canned, or they were never canned, as like a decorative element, because it is getting more iconic with the time, and now it's like defining also a very special culture that it is getting more and more personality with the years. Okay, we're going to open our cocktail. And ta-da! I have to say that they are very aromatic. They have a very clean, subtle smell, and something that we do in Barcelona, especially with cocktails, normally is that in this case we can put them in a little plate, but something that is always part of the cocktail tapa is a little bit of this espinaler sauce. So we're going to add a little bit. In this case, I'm going to do it directly in the can. Like that. Salsa de espinaler, or any other kind of aperitif sauce that they can do. Normally it's a combination of olive oil, vinegar, and paprika. Some people, they add other different spices. Very often black pepper, for example, could be another option. And yeah, I'm going to eat one of these little babies. Yeah, come on. Like this. And they're really, really delicate and exquisite. I have to say, they're a little bit sweet even. It is like to eat a little sweet piece of clean water from the ocean. Something that sometimes happens with cocktails is that if the brand is not very good, they could have a little bit of sand. But these brands we are talking about, La Fuente, Conservas de Cambados, they are perfect. They don't have a single piece of sand, and they are delicious. And have a little bit of vermouth. So we're talking about cocktails and about these mariscadoras, the seafood catchers in Cambados Beach, what it is like a spectacle in itself. I love this woman. They have a fantastic association of women. The job is there from also 100 years ago. Some of the seafood catchers, they are the third and the fourth generation. And they don't only get cockles. Cockle is one of the things. The main product that they get is clams. And another product that they can get also in this from these beaches, it is razor clams. I'm going to show you very briefly where are razor clams. These are razor clams inside the shell. And next, I want to show you also a little video of these seafood catchers when they finish in the beach and they are coming back to the checkpoint with all the product that they got, and they have to put it like in the weights and classificate it. Here we're going to see them in Cambados in the checkpoint. We can see all these tries and tries with different kind of clams. There we have the razor clams. They are huge, these ones. They're fantastic. More clams. They are different varieties. They could be, here we have more razor clams. They could be, fina is the most expensive, the most delicious. There is another variety that is babosa. It's easier to find. Fina is indigenous from the area. Babosa, it was imported a little bit later. And this is a little bit the atmosphere when all the women come back from the beach and they need to organize all the product they were bringing in different sizes, also in different weight, and then sending to the purification plant to sell it later in the seafood market. So these are the razor clams. And about the razor clams, I have a can, that it is a little bit like a treasure for me, that it is this one. I show you now. Navajas Casa Petit, they are impossible to get right now. They are basically extinct. Casa Petit, it was a beautiful colmado. Colmado in Catalonia, they are old school groceries specialized in all kind of cans and packet products and bottles and I don't know, different kind of food, but everything, it was in some kind of containers, nothing fresh. And they were very typical, especially in the 19th century and across the 20th century, and they're disappearing now because gentrification, supermarkets, etc., etc. One of the businesses that disappear is this, Casa Petit. We used to stop there in our walks about bodegas, where we taste also the vermouth and wine, and we taste also some of these little treasures. But they decided to retire. It was a business from the 40s that the family of the owner got from the previous owner who opened it in the 20s. So the owner of this grocery, it was a Catalan man, and he was married with a Galician woman who was also making fantastic empanadas. And also they had a little bit the same connection, no, in between Catalonia and Galicia. So they decided, like when we were talking about the Spinaler, they decided that if they were going to sell all this kind of product, why not go to the source, go to Galicia, and select the best product you can find and connect directly there with your own brand. So this is what we have here, the quality of these navajas, of these razor clams. They are similar to La Fuente and Conservas Cambados that we tasted before. And I have one can, in fact, that is already open here. Yeah, this is what happened. This is why I have this already prepared. Here we have the razor clams with a little bit of the juice that came in the can, and also with a little bit of pepper in this case. Again, the flavor of these navajas is very subtle. The texture should be also very easy in the mouth, and they are, again, perfect and one of the big classics with a vermouth. They are calling by my name, but I'm going to wait for later. So, if navajas and cockles are some of the most emblematic or iconic selfies that came from Galicia, it is another one, maybe together with clams, that is definitely the king of the dance. That is mussels. So mussels, we have a massive production of mussels in Galicia, and they are one of the huge classics in the tins, in the cans. They're affordable normally, so maybe this is why, but also they could be absolutely delicious. And well, to illustrate a little bit of this, first I want to show you how the mussels, that the production is huge, are naturally farmed also in Galicia in very special platforms that are made of wood and that we call bateas, and how we attach the mussels when they are little babies to the ropes of these bateas to let them grow there. So I'm going to show you different things now. I'm going to show you first what it is a batea. These wood platforms, they are like this. There you can see this is the wood platform. We have some ropes here that they are up, and this is Vicente that is trying to get some mussel from a rope. And here we can see, how using this system, they can tie the babies of the mussels to the rope, that then the rope go under the water, and the mussels, they can grow attached to the rope. Come back. This is the platform. So just to let you know, the first of these bateas that came to Galicia, it was imported by a Catalan. And this Catalan, they got the idea from France, where they have another similar platforms for the oysters. And the French, they got the idea at a time from the Chinese. You know, these Chinese houses that they have the fundaments in the water, and many selfies, they can also get attached to these fundaments and they can grow there. Well, that was the idea. But nowadays in Galicia, in all Galicia, in the Rias, we have 3,000 of these wood platforms, 3,000 bateas. 2,000 of them, they are in La Ria de Arousa, where we were talking about, like the same ria with the, that is in Cambados with the seafood catchers. And I want to show you just some pictures of here, the ria with all the bateas. This is how it looks like, all this extension of water that goes into the land, full cover every dark point that you can see there. This is one of these platforms, one of these bateas. This is another picture from the opposite side with a beautiful sunset at the end, and the platforms, the bateas in front. So to degustate one of these mussels, even when it is a very humble shellfish, I think that's really worth it to choose the brand of Albert Adrià. I'm going to show you now how it is the tin, the packaging. The brand is La Cala. Albert Adrià is this famous chef, one of the Adrià brothers. They say mussels in escabeche. Escabeche is a kind of marination with vinegar, but fine, much better, no? Than a little bit refined. Wait. Here. So what we have here, it is one of the best chefs in the world making a special recipe with one of the most humble shellfish cannet in the world. This is a whole tribute that Albert Adrià is developing from some years ago already to the aperitif culture, to the vermouth culture, when he opened also Bodega 1900, Bodega 1900s. This was a totally tribute to the culture of canned food, to the culture of the aperitif and the vermouth in Barcelona. And he decided to create his own line of his own product with a special care on the recipes that were inside, no? Here, I'm going to show you basically these beautiful mussels. I have to be very careful with the sauce. These beautiful mussels. This is the can of Albert Adrià. I have to say that the flavor of the sauce, the escabeche, well, they are organized, beautiful, and everything is like super neat. And the escabeche is true that is kind of more refined, a little bit more delicate, and a little bit more fantastic. So what we have here, in any case, it is elevation in some kind, to say it in some way, to the Conservas culture to a next level, no? What it is basically what these chefs were doing during their whole life, elevating food to a next level. And the last thing that I want to show you, it is something completely different. In Galicia, we produce a lot of conservas. The first conserva in Spain was made in Galicia. But Galicia is not the only spot in Spain with fantastic and excellent gourmet conservas production. We have other areas like the Basque Country, like Cantabria, like Asturias or Andalusia. And also talking about, like in Ferradria, like a chef cooking or preparing or changing or adapting his own recipes. In this case, we're going to say something that is also produced in restaurant. It's a very special can. You're going to see it here. The packaging is very exciting. I'm going to show you the name exactly. What says calamares de otro planeta, squids from other planet. So guys, what do you think when you visualize squids from other planets? I can show you a very quick example of what you maybe could be imagine. Okay, this is not exactly what we're going to find inside this can. In Calamares de Otro Planeta, we are not going to find squids from another planet. We have this expression when we want to say that something is so good that could be not from this world, should be from another, like, better world, no, maybe. So this is what we have here. We have squids in the wrong ink, that they are so good that they doesn't belong to this world, in this fantastic packaging that is like a video game, like a Space Invaders. And we are going to open it. Let's see what we have here, if we have some aliens or regular squids. Okay, this is the thing. They have also this sticker where they explain a little bit more. And this is another beautiful detail. They have this written like by hand. The name of the restaurant and the name of the brand, it is Huellumar. They are famous because they cook in charcoal grill sardines. That was the first thing, and then they can it. In this case, what we have, it is these squids that they were cooked in the charcoal grill, and then with a sauce with the wrong ink, they were canned. This is something also very special, and with this kind of look and feel that is also very like vintage, modern, millennial, whatever, video games, is very exciting. And we're going to see these like squids from other planet. Everything is very inky. I can see it right now. Dark, like the depth of the cosmos. Yeah. So this is like a trip to the abyss. Ugh. Okay, let's go to taste it. Let's see if we can get one of these pieces, and there we go. Looks like a regular squid in its ink. I'm going to eat it. Worth it to warm it and make a little bit of rice or some kind of cooked potatoes with some bay leaf or something like that. To have the complete meal with that. It is delicious and it is very special. So it's not only that we can can sardines, cockles, razor clams. Many chefs are making different elaborations and they are canning everything they can imagine. Sometimes also poultry. They can can very delicate, unique dishes, and offer them in this fantastic system that they can last forever. This like my can of Casa Petit that I can keep it for years and years, like a treasure, like a lovely treasure. And this is part of the thing. These are like boxes to keep jewelry inside, no, like edible jewelry. So I don't know if you have questions and that you want to answer. I'm going to check it a little bit. Let's see if I can answer something. If not, if you guys want to join back, I'm here to answer some of his questions. Madeline asked if they are by hand on all of the cans. Yeah, I don't know exactly what you mean, but if you want to repeat it, the question, I can answer you. Ah, here it is. Hello, Jigal.
Hey, Paula.
Are you there? Hello.
Right. Wow, that was amazing. I think you just
How are you?
I think you just created a new internet genre, which is like uncanning. Right? There's unboxing. There's uncanny. That was incredible. It was like so exciting to watch. Yeah.
We uncanny the black hole.
Yeah, I think this could be something sort of more regular, you know, different cans, but they're amazing. I mean, I think we really the variety. I saw some comments, people just saying about the variety, and I think the different styles of cooking, and you know, of course, the different types of seafood. It's amazing. I mean, it's really. I think one question that I saw was a little bit about cost. I mean, I think you know, just is it something that's considered kind of a more high level thing? Is it sort of a more affordable thing?
The cans that we were seeing, the most expensive one, it was the cockles. The cockles, the price was around 20 euros in this case. But also depends on the size, no? Maybe you can get something that is super fantastic, but you get a smaller size and then became a little bit more affordable. There are cans, for example, of this brand, Maso, that they can arrive to 84 euros. For example, could be clams. For example, clams normally and cockles, they are very expensive. They can arrive. I have seen also cans, similar to this one. This is La Fuente. That could be from La Fuente. Casa Petit, they also had them. The price was around 90 euros. But obviously they were like, you know, bigger quantity also. They were larger cans. And I don't know, if you have a big dinner or something like that, it is perfect for this moment, no? But when the selection of the pieces that are inside, they are like the big caliber, that they were cut it from the sand, from these seafood cutters, all the work that is behind and everything, the price goes up very quickly. So some of these cans, they could be very easy and very affordable for typical Saturday vermouth, and others they can be part of a very special aperitif in a Christmas dinner or in a special celebration or in a special party, or in more expensive restaurants also, if you want to offer like a special aperitif while you're waiting, no, for your meal to come.
Yeah. And when would you say that it's things in Barcelona, for example, started, this kind of revival of the can started, or, people started, they started finding their way to kind of these more, like this Adria restaurant?
This is it's 21st century. I mean, it is with all the culinary boom that we have during the 21st century. A lot of traditional culture, traditional stuff was recovered back. Vermouth, for example, is part of this culture of recover traditional elaborations. And if you are recovering back the vermouth, obviously you cannot leave behind the cans. It's part of the same thing. So at the same time, during the last decades, it was also a kind of elevation of a lot of humble elements, because they became important from a cultural point of view. And for example, in France, they started to elaborate the sardines millésimées. So these are sardines that they were put in the can in a special jar. In fact, I have one here. This is a French millésimée that, in this case, if I remember correctly, is from 2012. No, it's going now in this moment. It's not super old, but you know that the sardines here, they belong to that year. So they were kind of madurating inside. They were developing a special delicacy and a special flavor inside the can during certain number of years. So there are people that they prefer sardines with 8 years old or 5 years old, or
also like a vintage, like a wine.
It's a vintage, exactly. It's like a vintage.
Amazing.
And this is something that started in France, but we have it now, for example, also here. Probably in Portugal they have also the same. But La Fuente, this brand, I'm going to show you only the brand. Not Rosa La Fuente, but Paco La Fuente. There is another parallel brand of the same Conservas company, the original one. They have a millésimée line also of sardines with a special jar, no? So this is like another twist in the enjoyment and the culture of Conservas. It's not only about the product and the quality of the preservation, it is also about how the can in itself influence the flavor of the product, and when it's better, when this is better, no? So it's becoming a little bit more freaky, but specific and enjoyable because of all of that, no? It's more complex.
So, and for example, now people would go out to a restaurant in Barcelona and just have conservas, you're saying? I mean, they would have a sort of a meal that's kind of basically based on conservas.
Normally, we don't have a meal based in conservas. Conservas is part of the aperitif.
Okay.
So when you want to have a little something, you are going to have a vermouth, or you are going to have a wine, and you want to have a little something good, but you are going to have a proper lunch later, then is when you order some conservas, no? You can order some cocktails, because it's a nice little thing that you have there, and it's perfect pairing with a drink. But then you need to eat something else, no, a proper something else.
Yeah.
So you can have some tapas. Nowadays, everything is changing, no? The original aperitif, it was obviously before lunch, but nowadays some people in all kind of bodegas and bars in Catalonia, you can have exactly the same thing as a regular tapa before dinner, for example. In dinner, if you want to have it in street dinner, maybe one idea is you can start with the vermouth and a couple of cans that, I don't know, sardines and cocktails, and then maybe you order something bigger, no? Something more elaborated, or maybe you change and go to a different place and have another tapa a little bit more elaborated.
And about the vermouth hour, tell us a little bit about that, just because I think, for a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar with it or have a little bit, but what does it mean exactly? Yes. What does it represent? What's it about?
Yeah, vermouth is about aperitif again, but it's a kind of elaboration that we have in Catalonia from the 19th century. The origin is Italian, so it's something that we got. It started in the north of Italy, then was influencing also in the south of France. In the south of France, they were making also vermouth, and in the 19th century arrived to Catalonia. So the oldest brands of vermouth in Catalonia are from the 19th century. And during the 20th century, the vermouth passed from being something more special for like wealthy classes, no, for wealthy people. At the beginning, it was basically for them, to become something super popular for everybody. So every bar, every bodega, they were having their own, sometimes their own vermouth, but very often also other vermouth from the area, no, from Reus, Barcelona, so Barcelona and around Barcelona. And as the places where the vermouth was served, they were normally bodegas and very humble bars. Very often they were not cooking, they didn't have a kitchen. What they had to offer with the vermouth, it was something that you don't need to cook. What it is, chorizo, cheese, things like that are cooked, and
the cans.
And good cans, no? And also the timing is coincident, no? We have the vermouth in one side, 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, and we had also the arriving of the cans culture to the south of Europe. So both things are part of the same time and the same culture. They are very connected.
And what would you say for Catalan people, for people in Barcelona? I mean, what's the vermouth hour? What does it represent? I mean, just in terms of as the part of the day, what's it about? I mean, I'm trying to get a sense.
The vermouth, traditionally, it was something that people was having, especially on Sundays.
Okay.
Before lunch. Very often it was when, I don't know, if there were people that they went to church, they went to the church first, and before going home to have lunch, they make this stop in the bar or the bodega to have a quick little something, no? If they were not like church people, and this is also a little bit related with Franco times and things, simply the fact to go out on a Sunday for a walk, and maybe you are invited to have lunch in a house of a relative, and you stop somewhere here or there to buy a little pastry, and then you stop and you can have the vermouth with some other friends or neighbors or relatives, and then after the vermouth, then you go to have lunch to the house. So it's a social moment, basically. It's a moment to socialize in a day that is like free for everybody. You have the time to enjoy the morning, and you can have like this space with your own family or not, or with the neighbors, and then you go to the family house to have lunch, no? So could have like the two sides. But nowadays it's something that even if we can have it in regular days before lunch, if it is a special occasion, if we are working normally, we don't do it. It's something that you can find. This is modern. I mean, in the last year, you can start to see people having a vermouth 1 a.m. in a music bar or something like that, you know, and they're having a vermouth with the olive and everything very beautiful. Like they only need anchovies around, that they are not, because it is like midnight, no? But you can see that. So it's becoming something that goes farther than the original aperitif time, 12. So it was around 12 or around 1. You know that in Spain we normally have lunch around 2, no, between 1 and 3, I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yeah, so the vermouth, it was before, around 12, 12:30, something like that.
And in Barcelona itself, the vermuterias, or the places where they serve vermouth, would you say, I mean, are these places that are doing well? They're still surviving? There's more of them? How's that tradition doing?
It is resistant because it's a very special business. Back in the day, we used to have a lot of bodegas in Barcelona. In every neighborhood, there were many of them. They were selling wine in bulk, and they were distributing very often the ice to the houses during the 20th century, no, before the arriving of the fridges. So they were having an important role in the neighborhood, no, with the wine in bulk. It was super affordable for families, and the ice, it was basic. It was a basic thing to sell. Then, with the arriving of the fridges, with the arriving of the kind of bars that we have nowadays, with the arriving of the supermarkets, because this these bodegas that they were making to make the aperitif there and everything. Very often there were also shops that were selling other things. So with the arriving of the supermarkets, obviously the great part of these businesses, they were disappearing. But because it is a very special business, because it was always a very special meeting point for the neighbors, where they could be a little bit more relaxed, no? It's like a corner bar. It's this kind of place that where you can meet with your neighbors very easily, and maybe you don't need to go so dressed up and like people when they used to go to the casino. That is another Catalan traditional cafeteria that it was in the neighborhood, open to all the neighbors, but people used to go there a little bit more dressed and that. The bodega, it was casual, it was tiny, normally small places, you were chatting there with the people, and that was representing a very close place, no? A place where you feel connected with many little parts of your culture, the neighborhood, the friends. It's a warm place, no? And with the time, when people started to see that they were disappearing, they were getting more and more velo also. So now we also see the bodegas with a plus of nostalgia. And we give even more velo to that. No, they are even more important because there are less of them. They are disappearing. We are losing them. So we want to protect them. You know that in Barcelona now it is a project to create a protection plan for the bodegas. That in this moment, I don't know what is going to happen with anything in general.
Sure.
But the idea, it was for the city council to protect the bodegas that they were in a higher risk, no, in a higher danger of disappear, because mainly they are a culinary patrimony and they're important for the neighbors. I mean, they're key meeting points. There are families. I mean, or imagine a person 40 years old that maybe he's the fourth generation in his family going to the same bodega, or the third going to the same bodegas.
To the same one.
I mean, it's like part of your family. This bar is not a bar in the streets. Part of your life.
And the cans are part of that as well, I imagine, right?
And cans are part of the same culture.
Okay, well, so Paula, listen, we're almost about to run out of time. Instagram's going to cut us off. So I'm going to say thank you. That was amazing.
It was my pleasure.
Incredible audio-visual effects, and the videos are great, and the photos are great. And if anyone wants to get send us a note at info@culinarybackstreets.com. Info@culinarybackstreets.com. We'll send you more information about different cans, about our trips in Barcelona, our tours as well. And otherwise, we're going to be doing more of these from different places. Our next one's going to be from Mexico City. We're going to be looking at corn and the role it plays in the Mexican pantry. So that should be really interesting with Paco de Santiago, who's our guide. Main guide in Mexico City. So Paula, thank you. Really, that was incredible.
It was my pleasure.
Enjoy cans. Okay, and we'll see you at the next uncanning.
There I am.
Okay.
Ciao. Take care.
Okay. Thanks, Paula.